Dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that.
I want you to remember a movie that you watched as a child, and I want you to recall how that movie made you feel. Odds are it had a very basic emotion attached to it, whether it be joy, fear, excitement, etc. And then you rewatch the movie as an adult, and those basic feelings are replaced with a much more dense understanding of what the movie is all about and the emotions surrounding it. This is exactly what Bastion and Transistor were able to accomplish with their overall tone regarding isolation. Isolation is a theme used a lot by horror and survival games to provoke a dreadful tone of desperation. Rarely is this theme used in action games, but Bastion and Transistor both use this theme to help build their worlds and give you a deeper understanding of the present problem. Unlike the games before that used the similar themes, Bastion and Transistor give isolation more depth and meaning within your playthrough. Humans are never meant to be completely alone. We depend on others to engage in basic human interactions and to ultimately rationalize our existence. This is a deep human emotion that we rarely think of as necessary for everyday life, but are surprised at the effects that can take place when we are left to our own devices. Game developers try to invoke a certain emotion with the games they create, a tone that goes hand in hand with the aesthetics. Science has proven that isolation leads to an increase of stress on the human mind. When used in a game, it creates a tension that uses your own mind against you, putting you in an on-edge state of mind. But Bastion and Transistor use isolation in a different way, focusing more on loneliness for the emotional reaction rather than fear in isolation. You awake from a slumber which you cannot recall for how long, only to find emptiness and desolation in every direction. As you move, you hear a stranger's voice describing the destruction before you, and you latch onto that voice, hoping to find somebody else. Anyone else. This is the first 5 minutes of Bastion. Right from the start, the game's tone hits you like a freight train. Loneliness at the deepest level in an unfamiliar world. While the game's mechanics are extremely solid from the level design to the combat, how the tone directs the story along is what you need to experience. The world of Bastion is set after an apocalypse, and you are one of the survivors. You are tasked with rebuilding a safe haven so that you and any others left can live on and hopefully return the world back to its former glory. This is by no means a survival game, rather a game about living as a survivor. Throughout, you will encounter stone statues of people who were lost to the apocalypse, and like a miniature eulogy, the narrator tells you a sentence or two about the person and the game continues.
Ronnie always wanted his ashes scattered here.
Little details like this give the world much more substance, and slowly you realize that everyone that you've ever known is gone. This is a story of not what is left, but who is left. And by the end, your mental state has adjusted to being alone that it's almost a sigh of relief when you meet someone else that is still breathing. This game drives loneliness to another level and in such a subtle way portrays sadness and raw human emotion better than most.
When you speak,
Transistor takes a different route with isolation that sets it on a more emotional and ambiguous path than Bastion. The game revolves around a girl who has lost her voice and a talking sword, who narrates the whole game. It's a story of these heroes making their way through the remnants of their lost city, which has been overrun by a robotic presence called the Process. Transistor doesn't give you all the pieces to the puzzle, but relies on your own analysis to truly understand the situation. This ambiguity helps with the overall tone, as you don't know what's happening or why it's happening. All you can do is fight, move forward, and hope to piece together the overarching problem. As the two heroes journey through this city, you are treated to a constant dialogue from the talking sword. His narration gives everything context and meaning. When you enter a new area, the sword talks about events that happened and the way things used to be. He reminisces about memories long past, and it gives an incredible emotional backdrop for the tragic story of Transistor. It feels like two best friends walking in their hometown, remembering the good times that they had and the things that they used to do and love. Other human characters are few and far between, but you will stumble across corpses of people lost during this disaster. While you don't immediately know who they are or what they were like, over the course of the game, their past and positions are revealed as you progress with the game's combat system. Along with finding people long past, the city in a way is its own character. Its aesthetics are sad and empty, almost like a metaphor for the main characters who have all lost something dear to them. This game makes you feel loneliness to a point of desperation at the end, where the climax of the game portrays that desperation into an incredibly heartbreaking finish. Bastion and Transistor feed on loneliness and loss to create two similar but unique gaming experiences. Ones that make you rethink what world building really means, and how to give a world character and purpose with half the dialogue. Making you understand the characters and their internal struggle to deal with being the lone hero in a world that depends on their triumph. In these games, less is more, and Supergiant Games should be applauded for taking certain risks and telling two of the most compelling gaming tales of our time. And with that, my name is Shane Walters, and thank you for watching.